to the seventh question, and that will be posed first to Mr. Howard. In the past few years, several California cities have reached the point at which they cannot meet their economic obligations and have had to file for bankruptcy, thereby causing a good deal of distress for their citizens. Hopefully, we'll never reach that point here in Dublin, but we cannot ignore the issue. If elected as mayor, how would you prioritize spending, and what areas would you look to cut in the event that revenues are insufficient to balance the budget?
Yeah, that is a great question, and indeed, the fortunate thing here in Dublin is that we are nowhere near close to the dire straits that other cities that have declared bankruptcy or close to that have gotten. Dublin has historically been managed very well fiscally. We have reserves. We manage our money tightly. That's a credit going all the way back to the founding days of the city, when our founding fathers and council members took over, and our city manager, Rich Ambrose, and all the way through to today. Everyone has toed the line on fiscal management. And as a result, we have pretty well-funded pension programs, where much of the money of unfunded liability is already in reserves. We have great agreements with our employees where they pay a much higher share of their pension obligation than other cities do. So we're very fortunate. However, indeed in Dublin, we still, in a couple of years, are forecasting a possible annual budget shortfall, where we indeed could see the revenues not quite make the expenses exceeding the revenues. And we're at that point in a couple of years. On the school board, the school district, we had to face that many times where we had cuts, and cuts hurt. And I know how to manage cuts, and we do it by convening a community group, by looking at all of the areas that we spend our money on, by together deciding what we should throw over the ship, and we spend within our means. What things would I cut? I would cut things that least impact public safety, that least impact health and human services. I don't know exactly what that is today, but it would stay away from health and human services, away from public safety, and it'd probably be some recreational facilities that we might have to tighten the belt on. But it would be done in collaboration with the community, so we all knew what we were doing. That's how I would do it.
As Dee just said, that we're gonna have a problem in a couple of years. I would take the money that we have now, use that for that problem now, so that it's not as big as it's going to be in 2 years. Because if you got this $12 million or plus dollars stashed away somewhere for a rainy day, it's raining right now, people. If the problems that they're having now with the debt that they said they're talking about, why not they just take it, right now, and just use that money and say, hey, we're not going to have that problem. We're going to take care of it. We're going to take care of it right now. When I was on the housing authority as the commissioner, I did the whole 4 years free. I was paid $50 every month, and I gave it back to the city. Said I love this town, I want to work with this town, and I did it for free. And if it came to it that we are such in a big down poor, I would give, as your mayor, all my money back to the city, if that's what it took to make us flush again.
Mr. Hart?
I was first elected to the city council in 2008 and immediately went into budget process where we had to cut 10% that year in 2008. We had to cut another 10% in 2009, and then we got to 5% in 2010. As David indicated, we are looking at a potential budget deficit in about 2 years because the revenue coming in versus, amount of resources are just going to not match, or not gonna match. So we do have a lean budget, as Dave kind of alluded to. All right, we happen to be a contract city. Contract city means that we hire specific subcontractors, or when we have development, we can hire more. When we are down, we can lay some off. So we will continue to do that, because it's a smart, strategic way of business. As David mentioned already about the pension reform, our employees pay their fair share, so we're solid on that. We do obviously have a significant amount of reserves that we have. We also have a rainy day fund of $5.6 million that we have not, we've included in our budget at times during the lean times, but have never had to use it because of how wisely we do try to conservatively budget. We need to think about, you know, what's going to look like in the future. I would say specifically non-essential services. It pains me to take away 1 hour, but we've had to cut, you know, a few hours of library hours. All right, pains me, and it pained me to cut a police officer position. But we've got to make sure we're strategic about it. That particular officer was assigned to the Hacienda crossings area, which was not something I wanted to do. We've got to make tough decisions, tough choices. In the future, we're going to be looking at it again. You need to make sure that you have a mayor that can make those difficult decisions.
Ms. Hildebrand?
I think one of the things that we have to understand as a community here in Dublin is that Dublin pays as it goes. It doesn't use a credit card to build its facilities. It doesn't use debt financing to build its recreational venues. It pays as it goes, which is part of the reason why you see a lag in the parks being built, the phase 2 of Fallon Sports Park, the Aquatic Center. They cost, the first phase of Fallon Sports Park was the $13 million phase. And we diverted money from the Aquatic Center in order to build that phase because we saw a need to do that. The only financing that we've done in the city of Dublin is for this facility here, and that was when we started off, and that debt is paid for. I think that what we've done is they've had the foresight to be incredibly conservative as we have led this city. We did, as Kevin said, we had to make some very difficult cuts throughout the economic downturn. I came on and we were booming, and then we started to really slow down when the recession hit. It was very difficult to cut the hours at the library. It was very difficult to see a police officer go. We are a contract city. We contract for fire, police, and our public services. So MCI, Dublin Police Services, it's actually Alameda County Sheriff. Our fire department is actually Alameda County Fire Department. It served us well. We have less financial obligations to their pensions and their obligations, which has really benefited us. I believe, though, as we go, we have to focus on economic growth because we do not have that revenue coming in, and we need that revenue in order to balance out the budget. And I think we need to focus and continue to grow our retail and economic base here in the community so that we can try to sorry, the 15 seconds threw me for a second there. So that we can plan and try to get in front of any economic downturns that we may see in this community.
Now, 1 minute of rebuttal, sir.
You know, give a politician a minute and he's going to take it, but I think I'm going to turn it back and say, we all answered that question pretty well. I don't have anything more to rebut. Let's move on. I think the questions are great. That's my comments.
Mr. Costello?
I forgot the question. Yeah, same here. I have said it many times. If I was mayor, I would not cut anything at all if I could do it. I would add more firemen. I would add more police. I would add more programs like Meals on Wheels, because we don't really, we got it now, but it came too late. And it's not free all the time. I'm on Meals on Wheels and I can't pay for it. I want us to have programs for the senior citizens to live on. I want the programs for the kids to live on. I want the programs for everybody to live on. And
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Mr. Hart?
The question surrounds what would you cut. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to cut anything. I think what it, more importantly, is being strategic about our budget, being conservative in our numbers, in our finance numbers, put money in, in the bank for a rainy day, all right? Work collaboratively with our unions to make sure that we can, pay things forward for purposes of costs, employee costs are most important, significant costs. Be smart about it. Don't outspend, as Casey kind of mentioned, we pay things forward. She's absolutely right when it comes to, we don't spend money that we don't have. Continue that process, all right, to try to weather the storm. We weathered a huge storm with the Great Recession, 4 years of having to cut and reduce, and we're gonna have to kind of get past that hump again in a couple of years. We'll be strategic about it, we'll be smart about it, and we'll survive. Thank you.
Just really quickly, I think that we have a great city staff that is focused on our economic vitality here in our community, and they definitely communicate the plans that they foresee coming in our future. And I think it takes a mayor who's going to work closely with our staff and those that we can partner with within this area to look at how we can make sure that we bring that revenue into our community so that we don't have a great impact on our city as we start to see in the next 2 years. I think that, as Kevin said, we have planned for a rainy day. We have always planned for a rainy day, and we have not had to use those funds yet because we have been able to be strategic, as he said, in ways of making sure that this community remains a viable, beautiful city that we all know it is today.